Canada just rejected $73 billion from the United States to join the EU's $150 billion defense alliance and shocked NATO in one fell swoop. What is going on here? Will this be the end of NATO? And how will it affect the European continent? Let's find out in today's episode. Hello and welcome back everybody to the channel. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It really helps us grow. As you can see by the title of today's video, Canada has rejected $73 billion from the United States to join the EU's $150 billion defense alliance. Shocking, NATO. But before we go into the details of this story, let's first have a look at the current situation in Ukraine. It is now day 497 of the war in Ukraine. The Ukrainian capital city Kyiv is coming under more and more attacks by Russian forces as we speak. According to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, Russia has been targeting Kyiv with Iranian drones and cruise missiles on a daily basis. The reason behind these new attacks seems to be that Russia wants to break Ukraine's air defenses in order to pave the way for an invasion of Crimea. This was stated by Yuri Ignat, a spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force. He also added that the Russians are not trying to exhaust Ukraine's air defenses by attacking other regions, but only Kyiv. This could mean that an invasion of Crimea could come at any moment. So we will keep our eyes on the developments in this region. Meanwhile, more than 100,000 Russian men have fled to Kazakhstan since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, according to the spokesperson for the Russian opposition group, the Free Russia Legion, Captain Ilya Piskarev. In an interview with the media outlet Current Time TV, Piskarev said that these men deserted the Russian army because they did not want to fight against Ukrainians. Many of them crossed the border into Kazakhstan with injuries, which suggests that they were not just trying to defect, but were actually fleeing combat. According to him, the deserters are hiding in Kazakhstan because they are afraid of being extradited back to Russia. And finally, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has pledged to supply Ukraine with modern fighter jets, tanks and long-range missiles after his visit to Kyiv. Following his meeting with Zelensky, Scholz stated that Germany would send Ukraine for more Patriot air defense systems and added that he supported Ukraine's right to attack Russian military targets on the occupied Crimean Peninsula. However, he stopped short of committing to sending F-16 fighter jets or the Taurus long-range cruise missiles. Instead, he mentioned that the delivery of fighter jets is a longer-term project, and that Ukraine's victory is vital for Europe. Alright, now let's get back to the main topic of today's video. Canada has turned down a $73 billion offer from the US to buy American fighter jets, instead opting to purchase used jets from Australia. This decision comes just days after Trudeau announced that Canada had joined the EU's $150 billion defense alliance, aiming to acquire 25 European-made fighter jets. However, Canadian officials have denied that the two decisions are linked. The US has been trying to sell Canada a package of 38 advanced F-35 fighter jets worth about $73 billion as part of its efforts to boost domestic production of the fighter jets and share costs associated with the F-35 program among allies. However, Trudeau expressed concerns about the high cost of the aircraft and rejected the proposal in favor of buying 25 used jets from Australia. The Australian government announced last week that it would sell up to 50% of its F-18 Hornet fighter jets to Canada for an undisclosed sum, which works out to approximately $1.2 billion per plane. The jets are expected to be delivered between 2023 and 2025. The Canadian Prime Minister said that the deal with Australia offers better value for money and a lower cost per flying hour compared to purchasing new F-35s from the US. He emphasized that both options considered, the Australian jets will require fewer modifications to meet Canadian requirements and will be available earlier than the F-35 South. Additionally, the Prime Minister stated that the purchase of the Australian jets does not preclude Canada from acquiring F-35s in the future, if it proves to be the best option. The acquisition of the Australian fighter jets is part of Canada's larger plan to replace its aging fleet of CF-18s, which are more than 40 years old. The Royal Canadian Air Force currently operates 10 CF-18s, and the new jets will bring the fleet up to 88 aircraft once delivered. Canada initially chose the F-35 over the Australian jets in 2010, but later faced protests due to cost overruns and delays in the program. While the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter is designed to perform various missions, including those typically carried out by Canada's CF-18s, it lacks an air-to-ground capability, meaning it cannot strike ground targets without additional equipment. On the other hand, the Super Hornet already has this capability. Having proven itself in combat during operations in Iraq and Syria, according to the Canadian Department of National Defence, the cost per flying hour for the Australian jets is expected to be around $30 million, significantly lower than the estimated $50 million per flying hour for the F-35s. The Australian jets will undergo upgrades by Canadian Company C to meet Canadian operational requirements, including electronic warfare, communications, and navigation. These upgrades are expected to cost around $7.2 billion. Despite the higher initial cost of the F-35s, the U.S. has offered offset deals to help Canada afford them. Additionally, the F-35s are interoperable with other NATO aircraft and come with technology that the Super Hornets do not have, such as stealth capabilities. However, the Canadian government's decision to purchase the Australian jets reflects a growing trend in defense procurement, which emphasizes affordability over advanced technology. As Trudeau stated, in some cases, it is more advantageous to buy existing planes rather than developing new ones. Ultimately, the decision came down to choosing the best value for money, and the Canadian government believes that the Australian jets offer that value. In addition to the $73 billion offer for the purchase of American fighter jets, the U.S. has also proposed the sale of 65,000 rounds of ammunition to Canada for $136 million. However, Canadian officials have stated that this offer is separate from the fighter jet deal, and that Canada has no immediate plans to purchase ammunition from the U.S. Now, despite the fact that the Canadian government claims that the two decisions are unrelated, there is a prevailing sentiment in Canada that joining the EU-US Defence Pact and subsequently acquiring European fighter jets is a symbolic rejection of the US's attempts to exert influence through military partnerships. What do you think of Canada's decision to reject the US $73 billion offer and join the EU's $150 billion defense alliance and shock NATO? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button so you never miss another video from our channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.